You are not using your brain to its fullest potential. I get more work done in 4 hours than I could in the whole 24 hours before. If you're anything like me, you usually stimulate yourself first thing in the morning. You pick up your phone, you go onto social media, you see what's going on online, check WhatsApp messages, you chit chat, and then you fragment your brain. It's how I used to behave. And then when it's now time for me to focus on my craft, when it's time for me to work, the project at hand, I begin to mind wander. I can't focus on the task at hand. My brain loses focus. And then I blame myself for not being productive, not knowing that I have overstimulated my brain first thing in the morning. Our brain wasn't designed to do one thing within a certain second and switch to another thing in a few seconds. Our brain was meant for laser focus on something that is important. And then after full focus and after getting the work done, then you can go ahead and do something else. Not overstimulating first thing in the morning before your productive work. Because your brain has already been overstimulated by music, by social media, by video games, and all those things you do first thing in the morning. And when it's time for you to do cognitive work or the cognitive task, you are unable to focus on the task at hand. What would I usually do in the morning before I pick up my phone, scroll for some minutes, and I start playing music, doing my morning routine, thinking that I'm productive. Now when it's time for me to sit down and work on my day's task, on the productive thing that I have on the list for the day, then I can't focus. I'm mind wandering, I'm daydreaming, I'm thinking, my anxiety kicks in. I start feeling the things that I actually felt before, but I didn't process properly. I start fearing of the future. I start thinking of what has happened in the past, maybe decisions that I could have made better, maybe conversations that I could have spoken better in, maybe things that I could have done earlier. Maybe something someone said to me that I did not like. I start ruminating. And then I'm unable to focus on the task at hand because of overstimulation. I've stimulated myself with music, social media, chit chat, instant gratification, and things that will actually spike my dopamine way too high. Then, when it sparks way high, of course, dopamine crashes below the baseline where it started from. And then I lose focus. I can't even remember what I'm doing at the moment. I keep daydreaming. I keep mind wandering simply because I have overstimulated myself first thing in the morning. And this is the same thing that is happening to you. First thing, pick up your phone, start scrolling, check messages, switch to Instagram, go to TikTok, start playing music, go to your chatting apps, you reply to some messages, someone sends something annoying, keep fragmenting your focus, you keep switching tasks, and then your brain is already tired. When it's time for you to work, you don't have the mental power, you don't have the brain power to focus on doing the task that you are meant to do at hand. It's all as a result of overstimulation. Nowadays, I get more work done in just 4 hours. In fact, sometimes less. I get more work done than I would do in a whole 24 hours before. Why? Because within these 4 hours, my phone is not with me. I'm focused, I'm not distracted. I don't have any notifications turned on. I'm just working 100% on the task at hand. And within 3 to 4 hours, in fact, I get 4 days worth of work done, just 4 hours, because I'm in flow state. That is a period where I'm doing deep work without any form of distraction. But before, when I usually spike my dopamine in the morning, social media with chit chat and all those, quickly stimulating things, I will be working and I'll get distracted. I'll check messages, I'll pick up my phone, I scroll for 30 minutes, listen to music, someone sends me something on WhatsApp, I reply, and before you know it, 6 hours has gone by and I've not gotten anything done. I've not achieved anything. But now when I turn off my mobile phone, just laser focus on what I'm doing at the moment. And 4 hours is gone by. But I realized that I've gotten so much done than I have the past week. Just because I focus more on what I'm doing at the moment. That's as a result of me not spiking my dopamine first thing in the morning. Most people will pick up their phones, scroll all day, starting first in the morning, listen to music, go onto Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, Facebook, do all these things first in the morning, and unknowingly you have fragmented your brain, and then you don't have brain power anymore. So when it's time to do cognitive tasks, you find yourself mind wandering and daydreaming, can't focus, keep getting distracted, keep wanting to pick up your phone, keep getting bored. So as a result of you spiking your dopamine first thing in the morning. Well, you don't need to do away with all this mobile phone. Of course, you can't do away with all your mobile phone. You don't need to say, okay, you're not going to watch TV, you're not going to go online, you're not going to check messages. But why don't you do that thing later in the day? Why don't you scroll? If you must, why don't you scroll later in the day? Why don't you chit chat in the evening? Why don't you go to social media later in the day? Why first thing in the morning? Those things can wait after you've done the productive task for the day. Then you can go ahead and play video games if you wish. Which by all means I won't even advise you to do. But then, if you have to, then do those things later in the day after you've done something productive. That would be like more like your reward. Of course, which is not really a productive one. It's an instant reward, which will have a bad effect on the brain. But then, if you must, make it later in the day, not first thing in the morning. Your dopamine doesn't have to go like this. No. Let your dopamine go like this. See? If it spikes suddenly, it crashes suddenly and goes below the baseline. That is why you feel foggy and lack motivation when it's time for you to work. Real work becomes boring and uninteresting because you've spiked your dopamine way too high early in the morning and it crashes before midday. You are feeling lethargic. Why not just do the hard work first? Eat the frog first, like some productive people will say. Eat the frog first, do the hardest thing first in the morning. Then you can increase your dopamine gradually by doing stimulating things later in the day, which is not really advisable, but then it's still manageable to do productive things first and stimulate yourself later. Not stimulating yourself first and trying to do productive things later. So you have a bad effect on your productivity. That's why you lack focus and you can't do more work. You can't get more work done within the day than I get done just 4 hours. That's what we're preaching. Be primal, and I'll see you next one.